You're going broke. Or are you? Have you ever found yourself pondering over how your spending habits measure up against your peers? Or maybe you're tired of being stereotyped as a free-spirited spender or the math nerd tightwad by Dave Ramsey.
Oh, you're a tightwad. You don't want to let go of the money.
Well, brace yourself, because I'm about to unleash some data that might just make or destroy your financial dreams. So, go ahead and grab a seat while we see if your frugality holds its ground against the masses. First things first, let's break our spending down into a few manageable categories. Sure, we could do a deep dive into how much you spend on cereal. Yes, really, they do track that. But I've condensed the data into 4 main categories. And those are food, housing, clothing, and entertainment. And don't even think about clicking away, because at the end of this roller coaster ride, we'll tally everything up and see where you stand in the grand scheme of it all. First up, we have food. That thing that keeps our stomachs full and our wallets suspiciously empty all the time. Let's dissect the numbers, shall we? When this data is broken out by generation, what we see is that, on average, per month, boomers spend $728 every single month. Gen Xers slightly outspend them at just $969, and millennials hover around $813. And the youngest of the bunch, those Zoomers, Gen Z, they're clocking in right around $498, month in and month out. Across all age demographics, that leaves us with a grand total of $779 month in and month out on food as a whole. Yikes. I don't like the sound of that. But that is food across the board. That includes dining out. So maybe you're more the frugal type, you like to make your own food. Assuming that, what would the numbers be for that? Well, it's a lucky thing they track that too. On average every single month, boomers spend about $463 on groceries. Gen X, $570. Millennials spend about $489. And finally, Gen Z is keeping it thrifty at just $280. But if you take all the age groups and combine them together, the average is about $475 every month on groceries. Honestly, not too bad. Not as bad as I would have expected. So if this was the norm that we could expect and most people did make their own food at home and they weren't going out to Five Guys, spending Five Guys worth of salary on a burger, we'd be in pretty good shape. But unfortunately, that's not the case and people do eat out. So it turns out that boomers are spending about $265 every month for dining out, while Gen X, well, they're partying, they're living it up at $400 every single month. Millennials, on the other hand, $325, and Gen Z, being frugal or broke, are spending about $218 per month on dining out. So all in all, the average person spends about $303 to eat out every single month. And while there's plenty of people that would be reasonable for, I'm sure there's plenty of people that is not reasonable for. So if you're looking for some places to cut back on your budget, take a look at your restaurant budget. But next we have a big ticket item, and that is housing. So it should come as no surprise that this category packs a punch. Boomers are spending $1,830 on their monthly budget for their housing needs. Then Gen X is leading the pack at $2,378 for their housing needs, while millennials, $2,187. And even the broke Gen Z, they're looking at $1,440 every single month. And if you take all age categories and throw them all together, you're looking at $2,025 on a monthly basis just for people's housing needs. Now, that's not really a surprise. People need a place to live, so it shouldn't be a shocker that they're going to spend a whole lot of money on housing. But it still really hurts. But housing is a category that everybody needs. One category that people probably do not need as much as they think they do would be clothes, apparel, fashion, so on and so forth. Everyone needs some clothes. But are you spending more than a self-obsessed wannabe Instagram model? Well, it doesn't seem that way if you're a boomer. Because if you're a boomer, you're probably spending about $125 per month on clothing. If you're Gen X, you're going all the way up to $217, and millennials average $201. Gen Z, $98. Tallied all up across all age demographics, that's $162 every single month. Honestly, less than I had feared, but come on. You only need so many clothes. How many clothes do you buy and put on the rack and they just sit there until you decide you don't like them anymore? You've worn them 0 times and they just get donated. Or maybe I'm the only one. What about entertainment? Are you somebody that needs a nice night out? A nice walk on the beach, a nice dinner? Maybe you have to go to the bar, maybe you need your drinks, maybe you need to go see a good movie. Well, let's see how much that's actually costing you. If you're a boomer, apparently a good time costs you $282 on a monthly basis. I guess if you're Gen X, you're up in the ante and you're living a whole different kind of life because you're spending $361. And millennials are doing their best to keep pace at $293. I'm sure if Gen Z could spend more, they would. It looks like they're dishing out $175 every single month. But you tell me, what's a good laugh worth? But if you average that out across all the ages, that's about $288 every month. And that sounds like a very expensive laugh to me. But, we're all different. Some people can play the game of stay home and see how little money you can spend over the weekend and find that like a good time. But I guess it's not everybody's cup of tea. But now, finally, the big reveal, what you've really been waiting for. Just across all the different categories, well, boomers shell out $5,530 every single month in their expenses. Gen Xers, $7,615, while millennials are dishing out $6,232. Gen Z thought it'd be fun to play Limbo with 4K, so they're only spending $3,998. That honestly sounds like a lot of money for people born after 1997. I think you can do better, guys. Summing it all up, we reach a soul-crushing total average of $6,081 in monthly expenditures. Ouch. That's a bad economy for you. So what's the verdict? Are you really that free-spirited spender that everybody told you were, that accused you of relentlessly? Or are you so frugal that you could give Dave Ramsey a run for his money? Well, either way, if you're not totally satisfied with where you line up, don't fret, because there are some simple but incredibly effective ways that we can crush normal and we can beat the average. Simple but timeless. It's time to start crafting a killer budget. Creating a budget is the cornerstone of financial success. First, you can start by adding up and categorizing last month's expenses to get a clear picture of where your money is going. Once you have a handle on your spending patterns, set realistic spending limits for each category, and then we're going to stick to them religiously. Now, you might be tempted to cut back extremely aggressively and be extremely conservative with it. However, you do want to leave some wiggle room in those essential categories because there's always going to be things that come up when you're just getting started that you did not anticipate. And when that happens, if you don't have the money to absorb that in your budget and you go off budget, that becomes extremely discouraging and it might just completely derail your efforts before they ever get started. So let's make sure that we just keep a little bit of wiggle room in the necessities. But in order to get a little wiggle room to do that, it's time to cut the excess. Take a hard look at your expenses. Identify areas where you can trim the fat. Do you really need the daily latte or the weekly shopping spree?
Yes, I do. Of course I do, because I am beautiful and I am special and I am me. I want me.
Well, before you leap forward with that, I have something you should really see. It's probably up here somewhere. Give that a watch before you make that decision. But the truth is, cutting back on non-essentials can free up a surprising amount of cash, and it can be put towards more meaningful goals, like saving for vacations or paying off debt. You'd be shocked how much the average person blows just by stepping into a Walmart or Target when they didn't even need anything to begin with. People buy an incredible amount of stuff that they don't need, and then later, don't want. So before you go ahead and buy something, consider the things that you can do yourself. One of the easiest ways to save money is to embrace a do-it-yourself mentality. From cooking at home instead of dining out, to tackling home improvement projects yourself, there are countless opportunities to save money by rolling up your sleeves and getting your own hands dirty. Plus, it just lets you feel like MacGyver, and that's an experience you could pay for, but you get to do it for free. So hey, double bonus. But whether or not you can get everything for free, something you can do is get things at a discount. You can be a savvy shopper and shop at good discount stores. Not a sponsor, but if you have access to something like an Aldi for your groceries, go there. You'll be amazed how much money you save there as opposed to shopping at, I don't know, Publix, Whole Foods, Wegmans, even Walmart. Yeah, Walmart's not bottom of the barrel. I know, it's crazy. Sure, the environment, it's not as nice as some of those more expensive places that really are charging you just for the experience. But the good news is that you can save enough money to not shop out of dumpsters in your retirement. So to me, that seems like a pretty good trade-off. So whether you're grocery shopping or you're buying clothes, the necessary kind, a little bit of research can go a long way in the savings department. And speaking of savings, make sure that you're putting money into your savings account after every single paycheck that you get. And if it is something you regularly forget, take a look at your banking institution, because most of them let you set up automatic transfers to occur on or directly after you get your paycheck. And don't forget to take advantage of employer-sponsored retirement plans such as your 401k or your IRA, or even your individual accounts. So your individual Roth IRA, don't neglect those either. They're really important. But just based on the fact that you're already here, you probably know that. However, finally, make sure that you're also finding fulfillment and satisfaction and happiness in the simple things. And the truth is that hard work and the grind that's entailed can be a great thing for you. It can bring you a lot of happiness. And the cool part is that so much of the happiness comes from the work itself. Money can be a great motivator for that, and it will push you and drive you to do things. But the journey itself, as cliche as it sounds, you really can get fulfillment just in that. So don't neglect the means because of the ends. Sometimes it's just seeing the effects that your hard work has in the world. So embrace hard work for hard work's sake. And then the happiness and the fulfillment and the money, well, then it will come. So there you have it, 6 practical tips to help you start living a more frugal lifestyle. But remember, it's not about denying yourself the things you love. It's about making rational, mission-oriented decisions that will enable you to live the kind of life you want to live in the future. So what are you waiting for? No matter where you are right now in comparison to normal, there's always more room for savings, paying down debt, and investing in the future. So if you got any value from this brief little overview, go ahead and give the like button some free financial services for the rest of the month, and hit the subscribe button also. And if you enjoyed this video, I think you'll enjoy the next one too.